Hey folks, this is Kalani. This week just doesn't stop, which is a little scary because we're about to cross over into Prepatch and then all we have to do is wait for Shadowlands to arrive. But just because the release date is right around the corner, it doesn't mean we won't see any big changes. In fact, I expect we will see quite a lot of very impactful changes over the next couple of weeks. One thing that we know lies in store is another change to the leveling process in Shadowlands. Things are a bit slow right now, and a temporary buff has appeared on the beta to speed things up. So I want to talk about that. And then we also have some more class changes, so we'll check out the most recent nerfs and buffs and see how everyone is shaping up. Now before we jump in, be sure to pop by our live stream sometime over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and we always love chatting with you wonderful folks, so I hope to see you soon. The leveling experience in Shadowlands will take us from level 50 to level 60. In the pre-patch, everyone who is level 120 will get squished down to level 50, and then we can start our leveling adventure when the Shadowlands expansion opens its doors. You may have heard that leveling up to 60 is incredibly quick, and you have plenty of leftover quests when you hit max level. That is for sure outdated information at this point, because a little while ago the dev team increased the amount of experience you need to go from 50 to 60 quite considerably, so much so in fact that you actually cannot reach level 60 just by completing quests. I know. Crazy, right? Originally you would hit about level 59 if you just completed main story quests and skipped absolutely everything else. That meant that you should at least complete a few side quests as you go to make sure you hit 60 by the end of Revendreth, but after that huge leveling nerf, completing every main quest line and every side objective quest in every zone, literally any and every quest you could see while leveling up, getting that done does not get you to max level. Some players hit level 58, some players who went out of their way to find more quests hit level 59, but that means that other activities were needed to finish off your leveling. Now, running some dungeons or grinding out some monsters until you hit max level isn't that hard, but it definitely should not be required. It's also worth pointing out that quests do not scale in Shadowlands, so if you go back to Bastion at level 59 and try to finish off some of the side quests there, they will be grey or green and thus give you significantly less experience, hindering your progress even further. The same goes for dungeon quests. They reward less experience if you hold on to them, so there's a little tip for leveling. Do your quests as you get them. Do not sit on dungeon or side quests and come back to it later, because you won't get as much experience for it. I don't know if this is a straight up experience gain issue or more of a pacing issue. As you progress through Bastion, you do level quite quickly, and we ended up at around level 53 before we moved on to Maldraxxus. There we earned enough experience to get partway through level 55, but when you hit Ardenweald, it really starts to slow down, and Revendreth doesn't do much to help you out. There is a quest at the end of the Revendreth campaign that requires you to be level 60, by the way, so if you get to that point without hitting max level, you literally just get stuck in the story until you go farm some experience. I know a lot of beta players have been poking and prodding at this problem for a while, but it didn't seem to have gotten much attention. We did get a small change to experience needed to level. They reduced it by 3 to 4%, I think it was, which helped a bit, obviously, but did not solve the issue whatsoever. This has finally been given a bit more attention, and the dev team have made a blue post talking about their intentions. As we work through issues that are making leveling through Ardenweald and Revendreth slower than intended, we've seen some beta testers reach a point where they have to spend extra time finding XP in order to complete the Revendreth campaign. We're creating a more comprehensive fix, and that's going to take a few days, but in the meantime, this is a beta hotfix that boosts quest experience in Ardenweald and Revendreth so that testers can have a smoother leveling experience in the meantime. This temporary measure is only active in Ardenweald and Revendreth, so the dev team knows that's where the issue lies, and they have acknowledged that you cannot get enough experience to reach max level through quests alone. But the insane thing here to me is the buff on the beta. It gives you an extra 40% experience in both Ardenweald and Revendreth. This isn't a small gap to bridge. It's not like players are just and so missing the experience requirements, and obviously the experience available in the these two zones is significantly less than is either needed or the dev team expected. 40% extra experience from quests is huge. Thankfully, that will definitely fix the issue. With that in place, you will hit 60 by the end of Revendreth for sure, but that's only a temporary measure. A more comprehensive fix is incoming, so that's why I said we're definitely going to expect some changes to leveling. Hopefully that permanent fix will be as impactful as this 40% temporary increase, and not another wimpy 3 to 4% reduction of experience required. So yeah, Shadowlands leveling is a bit weird right now, but the dev team are at least taking notice and working on a solution. I am a little worried that it took them this long to get around to it though. And then we also have a few class changes to go over. First up on the chopping block, I mean the list, Death Knights. Frost has received a few nerfs. Might of the Frozen Wastes, two-handed damage increase to Obliterate has been nerfed from 35% to 30%, so a bit of an ouchie there for the two-handed Frost crowd. Obliterate itself has also been nerfed. The damage for a two-handed weapon has been taken down from about 73% of your attack power to 66% of your attack power, so a bit of a decrease there. The dual wielders don't get off scot-free though. Their calculation has been reduced from 49.7% of your attack power down to 44.73% of your attack power, so just a straight damage nerf no matter what weapons you're using. And on top of all of that, Pillar of Frost has been nerfed as well. It now only lasts for 12 seconds, down from 15 seconds, and the cooldown has been increased from 45 seconds to 1 minute. So a double whammy on that major cooldown for Frost, and overall these nerfs will leave Frost Death Knights dealing quite a bit less damage with any Obliterate builds. Another change has been made for Death Knights that isn't necessarily a buff or nerf, but it will remove some potential weapon swapping tomfoolery that sneaky Death Knights were tinkering about with. Because two-handed weapons cause Obliterate to hit harder, and dual wielding allows you to make use of two rune forges, swapping back and forth between those setups to perform certain abilities was maybe going to be a slight DPS increase, but not anymore. A new debuff has been added called Off Balance. Whenever you swap weapons in combat as a Frost Death Knight, you will gain Off Balance, which prevents you from benefiting from any of your rune forges for 30 seconds. Basically, if you swap weapons to take advantage of your rune forges, you can't take advantage of your rune forges, so you won't swap weapons. Done and dusted. Weapon swapping Death Knights will not be a thing with this latest change added into the mix. The mages are also on this list, but this time it's not a nerf. Fire Mage is in a bit of a bad spot, and the dev team seems to agree, so we have some buffs. Fire Blast has been increased from 72% of your spell power up to 79.2%, a nice increase there for one of your most used abilities. Fireball has also been buffed from 59% of your spell power up to 65%, so the filler spell isn't left behind in this round of buffs either, and Pyroblast joins the crew, receiving a buff from 123.9% of your spell power up to 136.3% of your spell power. That means the three abilities that make up the vast majority of your single target rotation have all received some tasty buffs. To round things out, Flame Strike was also buffed from 57.5% of your spell power up to 66.13% of your spell power, and I don't think these buffs will be enough to bring Fire up to a point where it can comfortably compete with the other two mage specs, but at least the dev team realizes that Fire is in fact in a bad spot. Another spec that's been buffed quite a bit is Fury Warrior. Bloodthirst has been increased from 50% of your attack power up to 65%, a very nice buff, one of the main abilities Fury Warriors like to push, but it doesn't stop there. Raging Blow will be increased from 47% of your attack power up to 61.1% of your attack power, another very large buff for another core rotational ability. Whirlwind is up there too, from 6.6% and 7.1% attack power up to 8.3% and 8.9%, so a little bit more on the AoE side of things as well to help keep that cleave running. Single-Minded Fury has also been given a small buff on top of all of this. While you are dual wielding your one-handed weapons, your damage will be increased by 12% now, up from 10%, so another 2% free damage just for running around without big weapons, and obviously this should help give Single-Minded Fury a bit more oomph to compete with Titan's Grip. So if you love playing your Fury Warrior, this will all be great news for you. Hunters are up on this list too, though it is quite brief, but I'm sure many hunters will love to hear this news. Hunter's Mark has had its damage component removed. You might think this is a straight 5% damage loss, and it kind of is, but I'm sure they'll make up for it in other ways. The good thing about this change is that you no longer have to micromanage your Hunter's Mark, so you don't have to worry about it when swapping targets or in AoE. Applying your Hunter's Mark to a new target every time something died wasn't exactly ideal, and it was made worse by Hunter's Mark triggering the global cooldown instead of removing the GCD on Hunter's Mark, which could have worked as well as a solution. The dev team just decided to remove it as a throughput buff for hunters in general. As long as the damage is made up somewhere else, this is definitely a good change in my opinion. Feral Druids will get a little bit of love as well. They've been given an aura modifier which will affect all of their damage, and it's been increased from 15% to 20%, so just a straight up across the board 5% damage increase for the Feral Druids. Not super useful when it comes to rotational issues and whatnot, but dealing more damage is always going to be nice. And to round up this set of class changes, Priests will see a handful of changes as well. For starters, Holy Priests will have all of their damage increased by 5%, again as an aura, so it's just 5% across the board, which will definitely help when you don't have much healing to do. Discipline Priests will see a change to the Schism talent. It will now deal more damage up front, but the damage increase debuff that it provides will be reduced from 40% increased damage down to 25%. That's actually pretty big and will impact a Discipline Priest's overall throughput in their burst phase. Shadow received a few changes over the last couple of builds which put them in a fantastic spot, so it's no surprise to me that a few nerfs are working their way through the cracks. Devouring Plague was reduced from 85% spell power down to 76.5%, so less burst potential with the big Devouring Plague dot, and then Searing Nightmare, the new AoE talent that's dealing a crazy amount of damage, that's been knocked down a peg as well. It used to be 51% of your spell power, and that's now down to 43%. It's still probably going to deal a lot of damage, just not quite as much as before. So some buffs, some nerfs, and the balancing battle continues. But that's it for this video. What do you think of the dev team only just getting to the experience problem with Shadowlands leveling? What do you think they might do for their permanent solution? Increase experience from quests, decrease experience required, or maybe something else? You tell me. Is there a specific class you are still hoping will get some much needed attention? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to explore what's left of the beta, ask us a couple questions, or maybe even help us get ready for Shadowlands, you can find us over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and watching the stream and coming to say hi is one of the best ways you can support the channel right now. And if you ever wanted to be included in the long list of names at the end of every video, a subscription on Twitch is the easiest way to make that happen. You get a free sub to any Twitch channel if you have Amazon Prime too, so be sure to take advantage of that. A big thank you to everyone who has subscribed on Twitch already, and to our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, well, now you know how. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.